What's up, guys? Straight from the chest, Sunday edition. Thank you for tuning in with me on this personal development podcast. My name is Justin Groth. Guys, if you don't already know this, for all my fitness people out there, this weekend was Olympia weekend. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what the Olympia is, it's basically a Super Bowl for all the best professional bodybuilding and physique athletes in the world. They all battle it out to go head to head and find out who's the best in their division. And every single year, it seems like I get asked to go to the Olympia because it's a big event. There's a lot of free swag that gets passed around there, and it's just a cool experience, right? Like, people love going because they love watching the freaks on stage. And I say freaks because these guys are just muscular freaks, like 290, 280 pounds shredded and 5'6". What? That's big as shut your mouth. But listen, that is what you look at when you get there. When you go to the Olympia, that's what you want to see. You want to see freaks, right? That's what draws in the crowd. But every time someone asks me if I want to go, it seems like I just get a distaste in my mouth. And let me explain to you why. I don't, and I never have, even being the bodybuilding enthusiast and competitor that I am, and competitor, I mean, I competed years ago, but that was a big part of my life. It's something that I still love, and that's why I watch the Olympia from my phone, not spectating in the audience. But I love that type of, I still love bodybuilding. So, I mean, I don't want you to get, with what I'm going to say right now in a little bit, I don't want you to get concerned or confused with how I feel on the topic. Like, I still love bodybuilding, and I'll always love bodybuilding. And first and foremost, I love bodybuilding for what it delivers and what it produces in a human. And that's discipline and it's organization. And that's what bodybuilding's taught me. Discipline, organization, and work ethic. Because before bodybuilding, before lifting weights, before doing it as someone call it an addiction, it's not really an addiction to me. It's more of a endeavor. I don't call it a sport, I call it an endeavor. Because it's something that I chase after and I want to be my best at, and it allows me to see the changes from what I'm physically doing myself to my body I'm trying to transform it to. So I love bodybuilding, and I love looking at bodies, and I love dissecting the body like the judges do. I love it. But what I don't love, and this is the reason why I don't care to go to any bodybuilding competition, it's because the bodybuilding competitions themselves, all of them are not tested. The ones that the public usually mentions, and the Olympia as well. All the Olympia, every single competitor on that stage, and this is going to come as a shock to you, but even the females, they all do steroids. And not just like a little bit of test here, a little bit of test there, a lot of steroids. And so, to me, being a natural bodybuilder, natural meaning no anabolic compounds, I have a visceral problem with promoting, or even not promoting, but looking up to anybody that's on that stage. Anybody. The only person that I've ever found any type of draw to, and people in the fitness world will understand this guy's name when I say it, is Ronnie Coleman. Because Ronnie worked his ass off. And there are a few others like Kai Green and Branch Warren. They worked their ass off. And I'm not saying that there are not others that work their ass off, but these specific individuals are no holds bar, train intensely, and they're obviously at it for the aesthetic look, but they lift almost dumb, like dumb weight, and in dumb ways, right? Because being 40 somewhat years old, and as they're doing it, they're lifting jarring weights that you're just like, why don't you just lift lighter and lift more with less rest between reps or sets and such. And I see these guys and the work ethic is undeniable. And so that is what I love. I love the work ethic. I love the work ethic. I love the work ethic. That's it. Now, before you tune out, there's a reason why I'm illustrating this. I don't honestly respect the bodybuilders, all of those on stage. And you know why? Because I do the same thing they do. The same thing. I do the same thing, but I have no drugs. And that's why I don't look like those guys look. And that's okay. I prefer that. Because if I wanted to, if you wanted to, and you have the genetics, you can take lots of drugs and be monitored and be ruled over by a steroid guru, so to speak. And you could get there in years time. Years. But you'd be closer than you are now. And when you're on steroids, I'm sure it just makes things so much easier. Given the chemical properties of steroids and what they elicit to the body, human physiology, they allow you to recover. They allow you to get stronger. They produce more muscle cells, easier, quicker, faster. So you're looking up to somebody, and this is my opposition with this. You're looking up to somebody, you're glorifying somebody, like you're mimicking their routines, you're mimicking what they do and all that. When you're looking up to a drug user, that's what makes them great. Their genetics, true. Genetics makes them great. But I know a lot of people with great genetics. They don't do steroids, so they never have a chance of looking like those behemoths. And that's the thing that gets them attention. And that's cool, but that's not something for me to spectate on. I'll spectate from a distance on my phone because I want to see who wins. Because that's something that I've always been in. Bodybuilding's always been in my life, well, since the early age of 20. And so as a tradition, I watch it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to go to an event and spectate in the audience like a minion. I don't care about that. And I'm not saying that people that do it are wrong, right, or indifferent. I'm just saying it's not for me. And I will tell you this, though. Watching the Olympia is something that it's entertainment, right? But to all those competitors, that's real life. That's real life for them. They do this for a job. And they may seem very aesthetically pleasing on the outside. And they may seem healthy on the outside, but they are crushed internally. And they only have maybe a few years at this at best. And as a side note, physiologically, there's a whole bunch of deterrents that become an issue with their body. Their liver, their heart, their kidneys. But it's important to them to be one of the best in the world at their craft. And you have to respect that. So whether or not they train hard, whether or not they're consistent with which they have to be, because that's why they look the way they look and they're in the places that they are. But whether or not you agree with any of that and the steroids and all, like I don't, what I can respect is the work ethic upon a few that actually train their ass off because it's in their DNA to do so. And then two, they're consistent at it and they plug away endlessly at what they think is probably their purpose. And it rightfully could be. But you have to respect that because they won't quit. And too many people quit. This is the punchline of the message. If you're with me for all the other nonsense, this is the punchline here. You can't quit. You have to turn the pressure up instead of turning it lower. You have to keep going. The Olympian that won this year, Brandon Curry, he has never won before. He was honestly an underdog 5 years ago. He did things differently this year, and by things differently, I mean drugs. Let's just be honest, call it what it is. It's not training. You don't train differently and get bigger when you're already 250, 60 pounds of shredded lean muscle. You do more drugs. And anybody that's behind the red curtain will tell you that. So Brandon knew that he wanted this title. And he knew this years ago. And he told himself, I'm going to be an Olympian one day. He didn't say when, but he knew he was going to be an Olympian one day. And to everybody that's looking at him and looking at the lineup, they're like, never, Brandon, never. You don't have the proportions that these guys have that are first, second, and third runner-up. There's no way. But Brandon kept going. He kept going. And this year, he was invited back to compete again. And he saw the lineup, and I have a chance. And Brandon took that upon himself to change his course a little bit, even though I don't agree with it because it was drug-derived. He moves to Kuwait. Well, in Kuwait, their drugs are probably a little bit different than the America here. And that's probably the reason why he moved there. So he could be more further analyzed and more direct and let's just say more on point with his drug inheritance or and he lives down there away from his family because he knows he's got a shot this year from who's in the lineup with him. And so he makes his mark by setting the stage and giving a badass performance and coming and just dialed, guys. 5 years ago, that wasn't him. So while I can't really get under it by way of, because it's elicited through drugs and that's how he changed his physique, it wasn't because he trained harder, and although all the magazines will tell you that and he'll even tell you that, the real culprit here, the real catalyst behind his accelerated growth is the drugs. And that's something I just can't get behind. It's like, you do exactly what I do in the gym. So I'm not going to give you credit because you do the exact same thing as I do. You deliver the exact same intensity as I do, maybe even less. I work harder because I'm natural, because I know I have to get any kind of muscle on my frame. You know you're going to grow no matter what. But anyways, what I'm saying, it's not supposed to be a rant, even though it's kind of turning into that. When he won, his speech was beautiful. He thanked God. He thanked his family. Thanked the fans, of course. Well, I think he thanked the fans. I'm sure he did. I hope he did. But he also gave a piece of wisdom. And he said, you never quit. You never give up on your dreams. And it was a dream of his to be on that stage. Now, I know that sounds fluffy and cliche, and you see it all day long on Instagram memes. But really, what I'm saying, he never quit, even against odds. He knew this wasn't going to happen in a year or 2 years or 3 years or even probably 6 years. But it happened eventually. He got his chance. And now he's the best in the world at what he does. Or at least one of the best. Because there were people there that didn't compete that are just as good as him. The problem with everybody the problem with you probably, is that you quit too damn early. You quit when there's 60-70% left in your tank. You quit when everything around you gets tough. You quit throwing up weight when the burn hits you. You quit. And you quit because you're weak. And you do fad diets because you're weak. And you do fad diets and you do fad programs because you don't want to put the time in. You don't want to do things simple but effective and hardcore way. And that's why you never get anywhere. That's why anybody you know that does that never gets anywhere. Because innately, inside, they're weak. And they don't have discipline. And they don't have structure. And that's what makes them weaker and weaker. And they hate listening to people like me. Because people like me call them out. And I don't care. But you're weak. And the reason why I understand that to be the issue is because I'm in this work ethic space. I produce what I can every single day I train. And you may think training, working out, weightlifting, that's just for the conceited and that's just arrogant, whatever. I know this. That has made me so much better of a human being. The regiment, following a structure, adhering to a nutritional protocol, that has left every other thing in my life to be organized and disciplined just as much. You may hate that, but usually the people that are frantic in their life and have no organization, They definitely don't like coming across people that are organized and disciplined and structured. And they have their names and their labels for people like that. That's okay. We get stuff done. Bottom line, we get stuff done. Do you? And if you do get stuff done, make sure it's with 100% work ethic. That's what you can be proud of. You can be proud of the 100% work ethic you put in place, and you can be proud of the fact you've never quit. And even though there are days that you don't feel like motivated to get up and do what you have to do, you do it anyways because you're adhering to a structure and you're adhering to a discipline that nobody can teach you, that you can't buy. And that is worth its weight in gold.